At 35, Uche Jerry was not just rich, he was Nigerian rich. The kind of rich that made security guards stand straighter and bank managers call him sir with extra respect. Dark-skinned, tall, sharp-featured, always dressed like money personally ironed his clothes. Uche was a billionaire tycoon whose name carried weight in Abuja and Lagos alike. But that evening, he was just a man in love and dangerously hopeful. Clara, 25, beautiful, dark-skinned with waist-length braids that swung like they had their own fan club. When she walked into a room, heads turned. When she smiled, Uche's blood pressure adjusted accordingly. He had done everything for her, bought her a house in Lekki, 2 cars, opened a fashion business in her name. His friends used to joke, "Uche, are you dating her or sponsoring her?" He would laugh it off. Love is investment. That evening, he was ready to make the ultimate investment. Marriage. He sat in his black SUV outside a jewelry store, staring at the diamond ring in his hand. "Don't disappoint me," he muttered to the ring. "I paid school fees with your price." He dialed Clara's number. "Hello, baby, how are you?" he asked, voice softer than Abuja weather in December. "Babe, I'm fine," Clara replied sweetly. "Are you home?" There was a tiny pause. "No, I'm at a meeting." Uche smiled. "Businesswoman, what time will you be back?" 10 p.m. Perfect. 10 p.m. would be cinematic. He pictured it clearly. She walks in, gasps, cries, says yes. Instagram explodes. He nodded to himself. "Uche, you are about to trend for the right reasons." By 8:45 p.m., he was already at the Lekki house, the one he bought for her. He still had a spare key. The living room was dark and quiet. "Good," he whispered dramatically. "Let it be surprise." He entered like a romantic ninja. Rose petals, candles, soft music playing from his phone. He decorated the entire living room carefully, every petal placed with billionaire precision. He stepped back to admire his work. "Ah," he breathed. "If she doesn't say yes, I will propose to myself." Satisfied, he carried another bouquet upstairs to decorate the bedroom. He pushed the door open and froze. Time slowed. The world tilted, because on that bed was Clara and his best friend, entangled, sheets twisted, laughing until they saw him. Silence crashed into the room. Clara gasped, "Uche?" His best friend scrambled like a thief caught on CCTV. "Bro, it's not what you think." Uche blinked slowly. "Oh good," he said calmly, "because I was thinking you were naked in my girlfriend's bed." "Bro, listen." "Were you praying?" Uche asked flatly. "Deliverance service?" Clara tried to grab a sheet. "Uche, I was going to tell you." "When?" he asked. "After honeymoon?" His best friend stood up halfway. "It just happened." Uche nodded slowly. "Of course, gravity, very dangerous thing." He looked around the room, the bed he paid for, the curtains he chose, the air conditioning humming peacefully like betrayal was not happening. Then he looked down at the rose in his hand, still fresh, still hopeful. He dropped it. The soft thud felt louder than a gunshot. Clara rushed toward him. "Uche, please!" He stepped back. The pain in his chest was sharp, but his voice, calm. "Don't touch me." That hurt her more than shouting would have. His best friend swallowed nervously. "Bro, we've known each other since university." "Yes," Uche cut in, "which means you betrayed me with experience." Clara began crying. "It was a mistake." Uche let out a dry laugh. "A mistake is spelling my name wrong. This," he gestured to the bed, "this is a full production." He turned and walked out. No shouting, no fighting, no drama. Just a man whose heart had quietly shattered. He drove out of the compound with controlled rage. Inside the SUV, his jaw tightened, his chest burned. He gripped the steering wheel harder. "Women," he muttered bitterly. "From today I am officially allergic." His phone buzzed. Clara calling. He ignored it. Buzz again. He switched off the phone. He laughed darkly. "Marriage? Uche, you nearly did stand-up comedy with your life." Uche's Abuja mansion in Maitama stood like a glass and marble masterpiece of intimidation. Modern Nigerian luxury at its finest. polished cream marble floors, floating staircase with gold-trimmed railings, an indoor water feature that trickled softly like it had better manners than most humans. Massive crystal chandelier hanging like it paid rent. Everything screamed wealth. Outside the mansion gate, Destiny adjusted its wig. Enter Elizabeth and Maya. Elizabeth had just finished her nursing shift at a private hospital. At 20, she was caramel-skinned, bright-eyed, with her natural hair tied neatly in a bun. She wore simple jeans and a fitted top, holding a leash attached to her energetic puppy, Maya. "Maya," she warned playfully, "we are walking peacefully today. No embarrassing behavior." Maya wagged her tail, which meant absolutely not. They strolled through the rich neighborhood, admiring mansions that looked like banks had dreams. Elizabeth pointed at one huge compound. "See this one? If you misbehave there, they will charge us gate fee." Then it happened. A black SUV rolled through an enormous modern gate. The gate hadn't fully closed, and Maya saw opportunity. The puppy dashed forward, like she had been called by the Ministry of Destiny. "Maya!" Elizabeth gasped. Too late. The tiny furball slipped through the gate just as it began to shut. "Oh God! Oh God! This dog wants me to suffer." She hurried toward the gate, breathless. Inside, Maya was running freely across a compound that looked like it paid taxes in dollars. Collision in the compound. Uche stepped out of his black SUV, still emotionally irritated, and that's when he saw it. A tiny puppy charging toward him like it owned shares in his company. Before he could react, Maya jumped on his trousers. He instinctively bent down. The puppy licked his hand. For the first time in hours, Uche's expression softened. "Ah," he murmured, "at least you are honest." Elizabeth rushed in seconds later. "I'm so sorry. She thinks every big house belongs to her future husband." Uche raised one eyebrow slowly. "Does she?" "She has expensive taste," Elizabeth replied nervously. "Unfortunately, her owner does not." Uche studied her. Simple clothes, no designer bag, no dramatic makeup, just wide, embarrassed eyes and honesty. He looked back at the puppy. "You broke into a billionaire's compound. Bold." Elizabeth's eyes widened. "Billionaire?" Uche smirked slightly. "Sometimes." Maya licked his chin. Elizabeth covered her face. "Maya, we did not come here to audition for adoption." Uche chuckled. A real one this time. He handed the puppy back. Their fingers brushed. Something subtle shifted. "Thank you, sir," Elizabeth said quickly. "We will now leave before your security arrests us." As she turned to go, Uche watched her walk away. For a brief second, he forgot Clara. Uche entered the mansion, shaking his head. "A puppy," he muttered. "At least someone ran toward me today." He walked upstairs toward his bedroom, finally allowing himself to feel the weight of betrayal again. Meanwhile, outside the gate, Maya paused, turned, and dashed back under the gate. "Maya!" Elizabeth screamed in horror. The gateman stared in confusion. "Madam, my dog is repeating crime." The gateman opened it reluctantly. Elizabeth ran inside again. "I promise this is not a robbery attempt." Upstairs, Uche had just removed his jacket when he heard barking. He turned slowly. The puppy stood in his bedroom doorway like she had booked an appointment. "You again?" Maya barked proudly and ran inside. Uche laughed despite himself. "You have confidence. I respect it." Moments later, hurried footsteps approached. Elizabeth reached the bedroom, slightly out of breath. She paused at the door. The room was massive. King-sized bed, dark wood paneling, soft golden lighting, minimalist Nigerian modern design with luxury detailing. And there was Uche, standing casually, holding her puppy, looking annoyingly attractive. "I am so sorry," she blurted. "Does she always trespass like this?" "Only when she senses emotional instability." Uche blinked. "Excuse me?" "She likes broken people." He almost laughed again. Maya jumped off his arms and ran under the bed. Elizabeth bent down to grab her. The puppy shifted. Elizabeth climbed onto the bed, trying to reach her. Maya popped out on the other side. "Oh, you small witch," Elizabeth exclaimed. Uche folded his arms, amused. You are losing to someone that weighs 2 kilograms. Please don't narrate my humiliation. She lunged again. Maya leaped. Elizabeth slipped. Uche reached out instinctively, and they both fell onto the bed. Silence, their faces inches apart, her breath warm, his heartbeat steady but louder than usual. Maya barked once like an announcer. Round 1 complete. Elizabeth quickly scrambled up. I promise this is not a strategy. Pity, Uche said lightly. It was working. She froze. He froze. Then they both laughed awkwardly. The tension dissolved, but something lingered. Names and numbers. She finally caught Maya and held her tightly. Apologize, she told the puppy. We cannot be flirting with billionaires by accident. Uche raised a brow. So this was accidental flirting? Elizabeth flushed. I did not say that. He stepped closer slightly. What's your name? Elizabeth. I'm Uche. She smiled softly. I know. He hesitated, something unfamiliar in his chest. Can I have your number? Elizabeth looked surprised. Why? So your dog can schedule visits legally. She laughed and gave it to him. A door closes, another opens. As Elizabeth left with Maya, Uche stood at his bedroom window watching them. The compound felt different, lighter. He touched his chest unconsciously. Careful, he muttered to himself. We are not doing this again. But deep down, the broken billionaire had just smiled twice in one evening. And somewhere outside his gate, destiny wagged its tail. If Uche Jerry thought a puppy invasion was the most dramatic thing that would happen that week, destiny laughed in thunder, because Chapter 3 arrived with lightning. The call he swore he wouldn't make 3 days. That was how long Uche lasted before staring at Elizabeth's number like it was a business proposal requiring board approval. He sat in his Abuja mansion office. Sleek black desk, abstract African art on the walls, glass windows overlooking the city lights. Everything looked powerful. Except him. He tapped the phone on the desk. This is foolish, he muttered. You were almost engaged last week. His inner voice replied, yes, and almost is not married. He sighed and dialed. The phone rang once, twice. Then, hello? Elizabeth's soft voice answered. Suddenly, the billionaire who negotiated oil contracts worth billions forgot basic English. Good evening. She smiled on the other end. Good evening, Mr. Billionaire Trespass Victim. He leaned back in his chair, amused. Your dog is the criminal, not me. So why are you calling the dog's lawyer? He chuckled. Dinner. Tomorrow night, at my place. There was a pause. With security clearance this time? She asked carefully. Yes. Official invitation. No breaking and entering. She hesitated again. Uche felt something strange. Nervousness. I cook badly, she said finally. Good, he replied. I have a chef. She laughed and agreed. Clara's jealousy begins to boil. Meanwhile, Clara sat inside her lecky living room, the same one once decorated with roses. She scrolled through her phone angrily. She had driven past Uche's Abuja mansion 2 nights ago, and she saw something she didn't like. A caramel-skinned girl leaving the compound, with a puppy. Clara's eyes darkened. That nurse, she hissed. That small girl with a dog? Her friend on video call gasped. Is she prettier than you? Clara straightened. Please, I am premium. But he looked happy, the friend added carefully. Clara's jaw tightened. Happy? Without her? Impossible. The next evening, Uche's mansion looked like a luxury magazine photo shoot. Soft golden lighting, candles placed carefully, fresh flowers arranged across the long marble dining table, soft Afro jazz playing in the background. Musa the butler inspected everything. Sir, are we hosting the president? No, Uche replied calmly. Worse. Sir? A 20-year-old nurse. Musa blinked. May God help us. At exactly 7:30 p.m., Elizabeth arrived. She wore a simple but elegant navy blue dress that hugged her figure modestly. Her natural hair was still in a neat bun. No heavy makeup, just effortless beauty. When she stepped into the living room, she paused. Is this a house or a 5-star hotel? Depends, Uche replied smoothly. Are you here for checkout or long stay? She laughed nervously. Sir, please behave. I am behaving. dangerously. She looked around at the luxury decor, gold accents, glass panels, Nigerian contemporary art pieces. Your living room is bigger than my entire street, she said honestly. I'll buy the street, he replied casually. She pointed a finger at him. Don't start showing off. He raised his hands. Noted. Laughter over jollof dinner was surprisingly easy. They ate jollof rice, grilled fish, plantain, and wine. Elizabeth took a bite and widened her eyes. If I marry rich, it'll be for this kind of food. Uche choked slightly. Excuse me? She covered her mouth. Hypothetically. So marriage is an option, he teased. For the food, not you. He leaned closer. Painful. She smiled mischievously. They talked about her nursing career. He listened. Really listened. Not like a man evaluating her, but like someone genuinely interested. Do you know, she said softly, I almost didn't come tonight. Why? You, he frowned slightly. What does that mean? You're rich, powerful, intimidating. He leaned back thoughtfully. And men like you don't usually call girls like me for dinner twice. His voice softened. Men like me don't usually meet girls like you. Silence. The air shifted. Thunder strikes suddenly. Boom! Thunder cracked across the sky. Elizabeth jumped and instinctively grabbed his arm. Oh my God! Uche looked at her calmly. It's just thunder. I hate thunder. You're a nurse. I fight infections, not the sky. Another lightning flash illuminated the room. Rain began pouring heavily against the glass walls. The lights flickered briefly. Elizabeth moved closer without realizing. Relax, Uche murmured gently. I am relaxed, she insisted, clutching him tighter. Your grip says otherwise. Another loud strike. She squealed and buried her face in his chest. Uche froze slightly, her body pressed against his. Warm, soft, real. His heartbeat betrayed him. He wrapped an arm around her protectively. It's just weather, he whispered. You say that like you control it. If I did, I would turn it off. The rain intensified. The storm showed no signs of stopping. Sleep here tonight, Uche said gently. It's not safe to drive. Elizabeth pulled back quickly. No, I should go. Lightning cracked again. She jumped straight back into his arms. He burst out laughing. So brave. Don't judge me. Uche carried her upstairs, teasingly, because she refused to walk near the windows. Put me down, she protested softly. Why? Thunder might see you. She swatted his chest lightly. You are wicked. He placed her gently in the visitor room. You're safe here. She nodded. Thank you. He walked toward the door, but before he could close it, boom! She screamed. Footsteps rushed. Seconds later, his bedroom door flew open. Elizabeth stood there, eyes wide. Can I? Another lightning strike. She didn't finish. She ran straight to his bed and climbed in, pulling the blanket over herself. I am not proud of this, she declared dramatically. Uche stood at the door, stunned and amused. You know, he said slowly, you break into my compound, invade my bedroom twice, and now claim my bed. Blame the weather. He walked closer, sat on the edge of the bed. She peeked at him from under the blanket. You're not laughing? I am, he said softly. Inside. Silence settled. The rain softened slightly. Their eyes locked. No jokes now. Just tension. Uche brushed a loose strand of hair from her face. Her breath caught. Elizabeth. Yes? Do you trust me? She swallowed gently. Yes. That one word shifted everything. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. Their lips touched gently at first. Soft. Testing. Then deeper. Warmer. The storm outside felt distant. His hands held her carefully, like she was fragile. Not desperate. Not rushed. Just two hearts stepping carefully toward something new. When they finally pulled apart, she rested her forehead against his. You're dangerous, she whispered. Sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling glass windows of Uche's Abuja mansion, bouncing off marble floors and gold-accented furniture like it was auditioning for a luxury interior design magazine. Elizabeth woke up first. For 5 seconds, she forgot where she was. Then she saw the massive bedroom, the abstract art, the king-sized bed, the billionaire sleeping beside her. Her eyes widened. Oh my God. She slowly turned her head. Uche was asleep on his back, one arm still loosely around her waist. Even in sleep, he looked intimidatingly handsome. She whispered to herself, "Elizabeth, your village people have finally upgraded you." Uche's eyes opened, lazily. "I heard that." She froze. "You were awake?" "Since village people." She tried to sit up quickly but got tangled in the duvet. He laughed softly. "You break into my house, invade my room, steal my bed, and now you want to escape quietly?" "I was not escaping," she protested. "I was repositioning." He raised an eyebrow. "To where?" "The kitchen." "Why?" "To prove I can cook. You've been looking down on my culinary reputation." He smiled. "You don't need to cook to impress me." She blinked. "Oh? You already did." Silence. Her heart flipped. She quickly grabbed a pillow and hit him lightly. "Stop talking like that before I start blushing." Too late. Back in Lagos, Clara was not having a peaceful morning. She wore designer sunglasses inside her living room, a clear sign of emotional instability. Her friend was seated across from her. "So what's the plan?" the friend asked carefully. Clara removed her glasses dramatically. "I'm going to Abuja." "For what?" "To remind Uche who I am." Her friend blinked. "The same Uche you cheated on?" Clara ignored that part. "That nurse thinks she can just enter from nowhere and replace me." "She didn't cheat." "Exactly," Clara snapped. "That's what makes her dangerous." 2 days later, Elizabeth was at the hospital parking lot after her shift, holding Maya's leash. She was smiling to herself, replaying the previous night in her head. Uche's voice, his laugh, the way he looked at her. She didn't notice the sleek white car pulling up beside her. The window rolled down. Clara. Perfect makeup, perfect braids, perfect anger. "You're Elizabeth?" Elizabeth turned slowly. "Depends who is asking." Clara stepped out gracefully. "I'm Clara, Uche's fiancée." Elizabeth blinked once, then twice. "Fiancé?" she repeated calmly. "Yes, we've been together for years." Elizabeth looked thoughtful. "Oh, you're the meeting." Clara stiffened. "Excuse me?" "The meeting that lasted all night with his best friend." Clara's eyes widened in shock. Elizabeth smiled politely. "Sorry, continue." Clara recovered quickly. "Listen carefully. Uche is emotional right now. He's hurt. You're just temporary." Elizabeth adjusted Maya's leash calmly. "And you're permanent?" Clara's jaw tightened. Elizabeth looked down at her simple clothes. "True. I don't belong in betrayal either." Clara stepped closer. "Be careful." Elizabeth smiled sweetly. "I am. That's why I don't date men in relationships." Clara froze. Maya barked dramatically. Elizabeth walked away without looking back. Clara stood there, furious. That small nurse has audacity. Clara did not stop there. That evening, she drove straight to Uche's Abuja mansion. The gate man hesitated. "Madam, sir did not inform." "I don't need appointment," she snapped. "I used to have spare keys." Inside, Uche was reviewing documents when Musa entered nervously. "Sir, there is a storm outside." "It's not raining. It's Clara, sir." Uche closed his laptop slowly. "Let her in." Clara stormed into the living room dramatically. "So it's true," she exclaimed. Uche remained seated calmly. "Good evening to you too." "You replaced me with a nurse?" He looked at her evenly. "I didn't replace you." She smirked slightly. "Oh? You removed yourself." Her expression faltered. "She's not your level," Clara insisted. Uche stood up slowly. His height and presence filled the room. "My level," he repeated quietly. "Yes." "Clara," he said calmly, "my level is peace." Silence. She swallowed. "You loved me." "I did," he admitted. Her eyes softened briefly. "But I love myself more," he finished. That hit harder. "You'll regret this," she whispered. He walked to the door and opened it. "Goodbye, Clara." She hesitated, hoping he would stop her. He didn't. She left with wounded pride and burning jealousy. That night, Uche called Elizabeth. "You okay?" he asked immediately. She raised a brow. "Why wouldn't I be?" "Clara visited you." She smiled faintly. "Yes, she introduced herself as your fiancé." Uche groaned. I'm sorry. For what? Your past? For dragging you into drama? Elizabeth's voice softened. I'm not scared of drama. You should be. I work in a hospital, she replied. I see worse. He laughed quietly. Then his tone grew serious. I ended it completely. She paused. You don't owe me explanation. I know, he said softly. But I want to. Silence stretched between them. Elizabeth, he said gently, I don't want games. I don't want competition. I don't want chaos. And what do you want? He took a breath. You. Her heart skipped. She tried to lighten it. Are you sure? I come with a criminal puppy. I've handled worse criminals. She smiled into the phone. Okay, she said softly. Okay, he repeated. Okay, Uche. And just like that, the billionaire who swore never to love again was choosing love. Meanwhile, in Lagos, Clara stared at her phone, plotting. Because jealousy had not finished speaking, and the real drama was only warming up. It started innocently. Elizabeth had come over on Saturday afternoon with Maya, who now walked into the mansion like she co-owned the property. The gate man even saluted her. Maya, madam, he greeted respectfully. Elizabeth laughed. See? She has more status than me. Inside, Uche was in casual wear, fitted black t-shirt, gray joggers, relaxed, unbothered, suspiciously happy. You're late, he said when she entered. It's 2 minutes past 3. In billionaire time, that is 1 hour. She rolled her eyes. Then adjust your time zone. Maya ran straight into the living room and jumped onto the cream leather sofa. Musa appeared instantly. Sir? It's fine, Uche waved him off. She lives here now. Elizabeth blinked. Excuse me? I mean the dog. She narrowed her eyes. Clarify yourself properly. He chuckled. They decided to sit on the balcony overlooking the city skyline. Abuja looked golden in the late afternoon sun. Elizabeth snapped a random picture of Maya sitting between them. Without thinking much of it, she posted it on her WhatsApp status. Caption, visiting rich uncle. That was the mistake. Because in the background of that innocent photo was Uche Jerry's recognizable balcony view. And within 30 minutes, Lagos gossip detectives activated. Clara's meltdown. Clara was scrolling absent-mindedly when she saw it. She zoomed in, zoomed again. Her eyes widened. That balcony, she whispered. Her friend leaned over. Isn't that? Yes, Clara snapped. It's Uche's house. Her hand trembled slightly. She posted it boldly. No shame? Her friend sighed. Maybe they're serious. Clara stood up abruptly. Over my dead designer body. That same evening, Uche had to attend a high-profile charity gala in Abuja. Come with me, he told Elizabeth casually. She nearly choked on water. To where? Gala. With who? With me. She blinked slowly. In public? He folded his arms. Are you hiding? No, she protested quickly. But your ex might combust. He smirked. That is not my responsibility. Elizabeth hesitated. I don't have fancy clothes. He raised a brow. You think I can't fix that? 1 hour later, a luxury boutique delivered a stunning emerald green gown. Elizabeth stared at it like it was a museum artifact. This dress is more expensive than my yearly rent. Then wear it carefully, he replied casually. She narrowed her eyes. You enjoy stressing me. Yes. The gala hall was glittering with wealth. Politicians, CEOs, socialites. When Uche entered, cameras flashed. Then they saw who was beside him. Elizabeth walked gracefully in the emerald gown, hair still in her neat bun, minimal jewelry, glowing naturally. Whispers started immediately. Who is she? Is that Clara? No. New one? Clara, who had flown in that afternoon purely out of stubbornness, stood across the room in a silver gown. Her smile froze. That nurse? She whispered sharply. Elizabeth followed his gaze. Oh, she said quietly, the meeting. He tried not to laugh. Are you okay? He asked her softly. Of course, she said. I work in emergency. This is minor. Clara walked over confidently, hips swaying with purpose. Uche, she greeted sweetly. Clara, he replied calmly. She looked Elizabeth up and down. Nice dress. Thank you, Elizabeth smiled. It has emergency exit options, in case of drama. Clara ignored that. So this is the nurse? Yes, Uche replied. Elizabeth? Clara tilted her head. You move fast. Uche's voice remained steady. I move forward. Some guests nearby pretended not to listen while clearly listening. Clara smiled thinly. Be careful, Elizabeth. Loving him is not easy. Elizabeth looked at Uche briefly, then back at Clara. I don't want easy, she said calmly. I want honest. That hit. Clara's jaw tightened. You think you've won? She asked quietly. Elizabeth smiled softly. I'm not competing. Clara scoffed and walked away dramatically. One socialite whispered loudly, This gala just became Netflix. Later in the evening, slow music began playing. Uche turned to Elizabeth. Dance with me. I might step on billionaire shoes. I'll survive. They walked onto the dance floor. His hand rested on her waist, her hand on his shoulder. Their bodies moved slowly, comfortably. You handled that well, he murmured. I was shaking inside, she admitted softly. I could feel it. You could? You were squeezing my hand like I owed you money. She laughed. Then her expression softened. Does she still affect you? He looked directly into her eyes. No, not even small? He paused honestly. She affected me. Past tense. Elizabeth nodded slowly. He leaned closer. I don't see her when I look at you. Her breath caught. What do you see? He smiled faintly. Peace. Across the room, Clara watched them dance. Her chest burned. She grabbed a drink. One of Uche's business associates approached her quietly. You lost him, the man said bluntly. Clara forced a smile. No one loses Uche Jerry. The man shrugged. He looks different tonight. She followed his gaze to the dance floor. Uche was laughing. Really laughing. Clara had not seen that laugh in months. Her pride cracked slightly, but jealousy still alive. After the gala, they stepped outside onto a quiet balcony overlooking the city lights. Elizabeth removed her heels. These shoes are punishment. Uche chuckled. You survived. She leaned against the railing. So, am I officially in billionaire drama? You were the moment your dog invaded my bedroom. She smiled. He stepped closer. Elizabeth? Yes? I don't want you dragged into nonsense. If this becomes too much. She placed a finger on his lips gently. I'm not scared. Of Clara? No. Of me? She paused. Maybe a little. He smiled softly. Why? Because I'm starting to care. Silence. The city lights flickered below them. He cupped her face gently. Good, he whispered. Then he kissed her slowly under the Abuja night sky. Not rushed, not desperate, certain. Inside the gala hall, Clara watched through the glass doors, and for the first time, she realized something terrifying. Uche wasn't pretending. He was falling. And this time, it wasn't for her. If someone had told Uche Jerry months ago that a runaway puppy would rewrite his destiny, he would have sponsored their therapy. But life, like Maya, does not ask permission before entering your compound. It started on a quiet Tuesday morning. Elizabeth sat on the edge of her hospital staff restroom bench, staring at a small white test strip like it was about to insult her. 2 lines. Clear, unmistakable. She blinked. Jesus, she whispered softly. You don't waste time. Her hands trembled, not with fear exactly, but with the weight of what this meant. She wasn't thinking about money. She wasn't thinking about gossip. She was thinking about Uche. Would he panic? Would he think she planned it? Would he? Her phone buzzed. Uche, as if destiny enjoyed dramatic timing. She inhaled deeply and answered. Hello? Why do you sound like you swallowed thunder? He asked immediately. She almost laughed. Can we meet? His tone changed instantly. Where are you? 30 minutes later, Uche stormed into a private lounge at the hospital like a man ready to fight destiny physically. Elizabeth, what happened? Are you sick? Did someone? I'm pregnant. Silence. Complete. Uche stared at her. She held his gaze, refusing to look away. I didn't plan it, she said quickly. I swear. I. He closed the distance between them in 2 steps. Stop. She froze. Stop talking. His hands gently held her shoulders. Are you okay? That was his first question. Not anger, not suspicion, not fear. Tears filled her eyes. Yes. He exhaled slowly, then let out a breath that sounded suspiciously like a laugh. A baby? He whispered. She nodded. His expression shifted. Shock, realization, then something deeper. Joy. He cupped her face gently. Elizabeth, he said softly, voice thick with emotion. You're carrying my child? She smiled through tears. Unless Maya learned new tricks. He laughed, a full, open, unguarded laugh. Then he pulled her into his arms tightly. You have no idea what this means to me. She pulled back slightly. You're not angry? Angry? He looked at her like she'd suggested he sell his companies. You think I would be angry that the woman I love is carrying my child? Her breath caught. You love me? He stared at her like the answer had always been obvious. I've loved you since you fell on my bed chasing that criminal puppy. She laughed through tears. I was not graceful. I didn't need graceful, he whispered. I needed real. News travels fast in wealthy circles, especially when it concerns a billionaire heir. Clara heard within days, and for the first time since losing Uche, she felt something heavier than jealousy, regret. She drove to the Abuja mansion one last time, but this time she didn't storm in. She walked slowly. Maya barked from inside as if announcing unwanted delivery. Uche stepped into the living room calmly. Elizabeth stood beside him, one hand resting protectively over her still flat stomach. Clara noticed immediately. Her eyes softened briefly. So it's true, she said quietly. Yes, Uche replied simply. Clara looked at Elizabeth. You're lucky, she admitted. Elizabeth didn't respond with sarcasm this time. She just nodded gently. Clara turned back to Uche. I was stupid. He didn't argue. I thought you would always be there, she continued, no matter what I did. I would have, he said honestly, if you hadn't broken trust. Her eyes filled with tears. Do you ever think about us? Sometimes, he answered truthfully. Her heart flickered with hope. Then why her? He looked at Elizabeth. Because she was watching him, not demanding, not insecure, just steady. Because she chose me when I was broken, he said calmly, not when I was shining. Clara swallowed hard. For the first time, she understood. She hadn't just lost a wealthy man, she lost a loyal one. She forced a small smile. I hope she never hurts you. Elizabeth spoke softly. I won't. Clara nodded once. Then she turned and walked out of the mansion, not angrily, not dramatically, just quietly. Some regrets are too heavy for performance. 2 weeks later, Uche organized a private dinner at the mansion. Not a gala, not a crowd, just them. Candles lined the balcony. Soft music played. The Abuja skyline glittered below. Elizabeth wore a simple white dress. She looked nervous. You're suspiciously calm, she said, narrowing her eyes. I'm always calm. Liar. He laughed softly. Then he took her hand and led her to the center of the balcony. Elizabeth, yes? You ran into my life without permission. She smiled. Technically, Maya did. You stayed when I was bitter. You were dramatic. You loved me when I didn't trust love. Her eyes glistened. He slowly went down on one knee. Elizabeth gasped. Uche, I was going to propose once before, he said quietly, and it almost destroyed me. He looked up at her with certainty now. But this time I'm not proposing because I'm afraid to lose you. He opened the ring box, a diamond more radiant than the first one he ever bought. I'm proposing because I've already found my home. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Elizabeth, will you marry me? She laughed and cried at the same time. Yes. He slipped the ring onto her finger. She pulled him up and kissed him tightly. Maya barked excitedly, running circles around them like she had orchestrated the entire universe. Months later, the Abuja mansion felt different. Warmer, laughter echoed down marble halls. Tiny baby clothes filled one of the grand bedrooms. Uche stood behind Elizabeth one evening, his hands resting gently over her growing belly. See what your dog started, he murmured. She smiled. Best accident of my life. He kissed her temple. Outside, the massive gate closed securely for the night. But Uche no longer feared what might enter his life. Because sometimes, the greatest blessings don't knock. They run in on tiny paws and change everything forever. Betrayal is painful, but it is not the end of your story. Uche thought Clara's betrayal destroyed his ability to love. But sometimes heartbreak is not destruction. It is redirection. Not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. Clara was a lesson. Elizabeth was a blessing. Learn the difference. If this story touched your heart, made you laugh, or reminded you that love is still possible after heartbreak, share it with someone who needs hope after betrayal. Subscribe